Most people have no idea how much suffering gamers go through in even the most basic of social interactions. It seems as if there's something in gaming, something about gaming, some kind of effect that it has that kind of kills the social butterfly in all of us. And in this video, I'd like to kind of explore that. So, I'll start by telling my story to kind of dive into the topic of how gaming affects our social life. So, I used to be what many would call socially inept, right? I have a lot of stories from my high school career where basically I would have no idea how social interaction would work, and I believe that was related to my rampant gaming habits at the time. I'd play for like hours and upon hours a day, and I would have a lot of fun with it. But whenever, I would wake up the next morning, I'd be sleep deprived. It would be time to go to school. My school was actually like quite far away, so I'd have to get like on the bus quite early in the morning. Talking like a little bit after 7 o'clock, like 7 a.m. every morning. I'd have to like go to the bus stop to get on the bus, just for like an hour-long bus ride where basically I would just doze off and kind of think about other stuff before obviously going to class for another 6-7 hours and then going home the same way as well. So basically, I remember these different social interactions I had during my time in high school, and I wrote some of them down just so I can remember. But there was this one time where my social anxiety was so bad, like I'd asked a classmate for like a certain like answer to a question. I think we were studying Shakespeare or something, and my anxiety, my social anxiety was so bad, I kind of like hesitated asking my one classmate, the guy who's sitting beside me, about like this one thing that we had studied that was supposed to be like an answer to a question on a worksheet. So it took me like 5 minutes to actually work up the courage to talk to this guy who was sitting beside me, because he was like a popular guy. He had confidence. He had friends. He had everything I didn't have. And yeah, it took me like a couple minutes just to work up the courage to ask that guy just like one basic question about what we were studying, because I missed out on it at some point. And that's just one example of like how bad my social anxiety was, just like how much of a hard time I had approaching other people, because I perceived them as above me. I perceived them as almost like more valuable or like more competent than I was, because gaming had completely destroyed my self-image, my lack of self-control and temperance, I guess you could say. In my gaming habits, I kind of just like run wild. So I think the fact that I was like destroying my my health and my sleep habits and my confidence with gaming kind of led to me, being reclusive during class time. It led to me not being very outgoing, not being very open and honest with people, because I didn't want to offend them. I didn't want to look like a dork in front of them, even though that's exactly what I did by not, discussing things with them. That's exactly what I did when I refused to make eye contact. And honestly, I couldn't stand up for myself either. I remember this one time there's this kid who I played basketball against like a couple years ago, and I was quite a bit taller than him. I think I hit my growth spurt early or something, but I was quite a bit taller than him. And basically what happened was that we had like almost beat his team at like this basketball tournament, but we didn't. And he was basically talking to me about how he thought his team should have won by a lot more points, because all I had on the opposite team, where I got most of the baskets, I was actually very good at basketball back in the day, was because of my height. And he was basically telling me that I was only good because of my height, and other than that, I was trash. He was a very rude kid. I did not like him. And instead of telling him to, like, go screw himself, instead of telling him to get out of my face, I basically just like laughed it off, just like kind of smiled and told him not to worry about it. I don't know, like I had no idea how to deal with someone who was trying to like bust my chops, who's like trying to get on my case about something. If it escalated to like violence or like you know, like physical fighting or whatever, I probably wouldn't know what to do. I'd probably be like so anxious and whatever. I probably just like try and avoid the situation as much as possible. I was such like, yeah, I was such a recluse. I had no idea how to deal with conflict like that. And that's just one of the effects I see that gaming has on people, is that they don't know how to deal with conflict in an effective way. They just kind of act like a traumatized child in all these different situations. Like, and I've seen this with myself. It's like, if you can't deal with conflict, if you can't approach people about basic things, if you don't have basic social skills where you can interact with other people in an effective way, then really, like, there's like, what hope is there for you? What hope do you have to like actually make it in the world in like any way? Like, what job can you get? What can you contribute to others if you don't even know how to like interact with people? If you don't even know how to communicate in an effective way? And like, sure, you can cope about it like I used to, and say that, well, I'll just build that skill later whenever I get out of high school, and then I'll go to college or university, and I can become a new person, or I'll just go to my job after high school, and then I can learn how to deal with people and whatever. But really, I don't think it's worth experiencing the kind of pain in your social interactions that you are now, like I used to, right? This is what I used to tell myself. It's not worth experiencing the negative social interactions you're having right now. These are too painful to keep going with. I don't think these are worth experiencing when we kind of like make this bargain with yourself, like, oh, I'll just get better at social skills later, because everyone at high school thinks that I'm a dork, and they think that I'm a nerd, and they think that I'm incapable of being athletic or cool or outgoing or lively or vibrant or anything like that. I'm just not that kind of person. That's not the way other people perceive me, so I can't become that kind of person. And I'm here to tell you that, from my own personal experience, if you don't think that you can be that cool, outgoing, vibrant kid in your social setting, whether it's at school or at work or wherever you find yourself, I'm here to tell you that whoever you are now, maybe you're just like some socially autistic nerd right now, I'm here to tell you that it's possible. And one of the ways that you can achieve that is by purchasing my course. The link to it is in the description. It's about 2.5 hours of content that's going to help you 100% quit gaming. I guarantee that. If you follow all the action steps and the advice in it, it can help you quit gaming in about 2 weeks or less. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. But anyways, to get back on topic, quitting gaming forced me to basically face my problems with like no barrier, because gaming was a coping mechanism for me to be able to deal with my social anxiety. I could have a really shit day at school. I could stutter my words in front of the class. I could mess up my presentation. I could, I don't know, like be caught. People could see me at lunch, because at lunch in high school, I used to like eat my lunch all by myself, like outside, kind of in like the courtyard behind my school. I'd be eating like I don't know, my sandwich or anything or something, but I would be completely alone. I'd be sat on a bench. I'd be kind of like hunched over, and I'd be like looking at my phone, like constantly swiping and like tapping the home button and like, I don't know, making an effort to look like I was busy, but in reality I was just kind of like miserable and wishing I was back home playing video games or whatever. And basically dwelling on just how miserable I was. And I didn't even have like, I had like too much ego and like too much self-respect almost to join the other gamer kids at school who would hang out in like the computer lab, or like play their own like shitty little games in you know, the computer room or whatever, or they like hang out in the library and talk about like nerd shit. But I wouldn't do that. I didn't want to do that because I had almost like too much ego. I had too much self-respect for myself. And I think it was that ego. It was that kind of like arrogance about myself that made me change my habits in the first place, because I was tired of being this social autist. I was tired of getting no respect from my classmates. I was tired of looking like a fool whenever I tried to do like a presentation in front of the class. I was tired of basically just like having no social mobility, no skill, no ability to go out and talk to people and convince people of my point of view. I was tired of just having like no skill in the social area. And it was because of that perceived lack of respect that I wasn't getting that I decided to change my ways and to level up. So yeah, loneliness, overthinking social interactions. I would like stammer. I've had like a really, really bad stutter for my entire life. And basically the only reason that I've been able to like rapidly decrease my stammer, so it's like rapidly make it less common, is just to learn how to just like take a deep breath, be present, and basically just take like a deep breath in and out, and to think about what I'm going to say before I let it out of my mouth. Not in the way that's like, oh well, think about what you're gonna say before you say it because you might offend people. Not in that way. More about like how I'm going to structure my sentence before I say it, right? Like that's what I'm doing right now. I first think about the sentence that I'm going to form in my head, and then I say it, right? And that's how I got over my stammer, and that requires a lot of presence. And the only way I got presence was by quitting gaming, and basically starting to meditate and practice like these mental health practices that basically let you gain more of a sense of presence from your day. Because if there's one thing that video games don't help you with, it's presence, right? There's no such thing as a present gamer. There's no such thing as an open and an aware and like an enlightened gamer, because video games are so hyper stimulating. They basically make you like a leech on it's a cringe, maybe like outdated word, but like the Matrix, right? They kind of make you like reliant on technology for entertainment, for stimulation, for kind of like this ability to be entertained and actually like engage with something. I remember I couldn't really be like interested. I really like couldn't be asked to do anything else besides play video games when I was back in the day when I was a gamer, because nothing was more fun, nothing was more bright and vibrant and joyful and awe-inspiring than the games that I was playing. Nothing made me more excited to compete. Nothing made me more excited to learn new stuff than by booting up a new game that I was really excited to get to, than playing a new ROM hack, then joining a new online lobby with a character that was really good in, and like these mass MMO, like fighting style games. So yeah, really, that's how video games kind of destroy your dopamine reward circuit. Is they just make everything way more stimulating than it ever would be in real life. And because of that, once you play like a lot of hyper stimulating like online games, reality just becomes boring. I've observed like the people who I know are gamers like in my classes, right? And they're all just tapped out of reality. They've all just kind of like opted out of it. They gotta have like their face in front of a screen doing something stimulating, right? Or else they're just like dead, or else they're just like AFK. If you like forcefully just like snapped your fingers and made that like console disappear from in front of them, they would appear like glaze-eyed, like just kind of brain dead. Like that's probably like the only appropriate terminology, is that without these screens in front of them, most gaming addicts, most gamers as it were, are just brain dead. And if you are a gamer and you've watched this far in the video, then I have a lot of respect for you, because we're already like 14 minutes into this thing. My screen's like black and white. This is like a completely unedited video of me just like spitballing, and you've decided to keep on watching. So respect for you if you've reached this point. But yeah. So back to quitting gaming. Quitting gaming basically forced me to, realize how short I was falling. I was falling in life. And if you know that you're addicted to video games, and if you're suspicious that it might be a problem, I encourage you to just like maybe step away from gaming for like a day, and just like have someone like follow you around and kind of like note what you do, or have them like film you like in class or in public or in some kind of social situation, and have them like take pictures and like film how you conduct yourself basically. And then if you rewatch the footage, or if you like look at the pictures after you're back from that social interaction, then you can see like how shit your posture is. You can see how much you stammer. You can see how much you're just like looking at the floor and trying not to interact with people, and just hoping that people don't talk to you so that you can go back to your smelly little room and play video games again. Once you're aware of how reliant you are on video games for entertainment, and how without video games you're basically just like a little shell of a human being, that's very embarrassing, and it's not something people want to it's not something gamers want to be aware of, because then it's going to challenge their entire view of the world. It's going to challenge their entire paradigm. They're going to be made aware that they are in fact what's the word, they're inadequate. Once their inadequacies are thrown into light, they're going to have no choice but to improve, right? So that's kind of the role I think shame plays in getting yourself to quit gaming. If you haven't realized it yet, the only way to effectively level up your social skills as a gamer is to make yourself not be a gamer. It is to quit gaming, which might come as a bit of a shock to you. It might be hard to accept, but I think that there is an inverse relationship between the amount of time you spend playing video games, and how socially effective you are, let's say. How able you are to communicate with people and to have meaningful conversations, and to like basically like sell and market stuff, and the ability to just have like effective interactions with people, right? You can either have one super high or one very low, or have your social skills very high but also your gaming time very low, because there's elements of gaming that are going to, the more you expose yourself to gaming, the less effective you are going to be socially as a person. And that's what I've observed in my own life. The more time I spend gaming, the more time I spend grinding these different goals in the games that I'm playing. I'm just sat in front of the TV or my phone, just like grinding these different objectives and kind of like dissociating myself from the world. And that's not necessarily the problem. The problem is that I'm overstimulating myself, and I'm basically making myself less interested in people because of this hyper-stimulating environment that I'm exposing myself to, that is gaming. Because I'm exposing myself to, like I said, gaming, and this hyper-stimulating environment, I'm less interested in people. And because I'm less interested in people, I'm less effective with them. I'm less effective with people whenever I'm like grinding objectives and stuff. And like having this drive to succeed and to fulfill your objectives isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just becomes bad whenever you're just overstimulated. That's the main problem, I think, with gaming, is just overstimulation. So moving on, a lack of social skills in your situation as a gamer typically just comes from a lack of confidence. Gaming destroys your confidence. Not saying that playing video games like across the board is going to destroy your confidence, but like excessive gaming to the point where like it's like the number one thing you think about, even when you're not gaming, and like you're in public, you're like on the train or something, you're just thinking about gaming like all the time. Your mind's just obsessing over it. Obsessive gaming is going to destroy your self-confidence. Just like any bad habit, it's going to make you respect yourself less, because you're not taking care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not treating yourself like someone worthy of respect, you're naturally going to resent yourself. And that's where I think self-destruction and just lack of initiative and self-care and self-resentment and depression even comes from. I'm not a psychologist, but that's just my theory from what I've observed in myself and others. So you probably have, just like me, a lot of potential to become a vibrant and very fun person, but you're probably just not working towards it, and you're deciding to stay in mediocrity and comfort instead if you keep playing video games. I think if you are that kind of like gamer archetype, this like nerd gamer archetype, who has very little social skills and very little confidence, and probably has like a weird voice and wears glasses and like I don't know, turtleneck sweaters to school or whatever. If you do fit that archetype, then you do have potential to become a fun and a vibrant and an interesting person. You just have to develop confidence. You have to develop the skill of dealing with people. That involves a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, a lot of failure that may come in the future, and having the courage to kind of undergo that in the name of improving yourself, in the name of building yourself up to be a better person, in the name of getting 1% better every single day. That's a noble pursuit. And not only that, but it's also achievable. So the last actionable step that I want to leave you with in this video is to start going to the gym, to start working out, to start lifting weights, to start building muscle, building strength, and to do it like pretty much like try and work your way up to 6 out of 7 days per week is probably the optimal. Because what exercising and working out does is it builds your self-confidence, because you're overcoming these barriers that is like the physical weight. You're overcoming this very like physical and concrete barrier that is like a super heavy dumbbell that you have to do like incline bench for like at least 5 reps, right? And you're constantly trying for PRs. You're constantly pushing yourself to failure. And then when you start to see that like your weight maxes are going up, or that your reps are going up, or that your muscles are getting bigger, and that you're eating more protein, getting a lot of sleep, supplementing, doing all this great stuff, then you start to develop self-confidence, because you're developing yourself, because you're doing something that is good for yourself, and that is going to help your self-confidence develop even more. And yeah, it's just such a freeing life once you realize that the ambition and the energy and the zest, like the life force that you put into your gaming, can be used elsewhere in like a more practical and uplifting environment. And yeah, that's just the one message that I want to send to all these young men that I see out there who can't realize their potential, who can't make like a real mark on the world, who can't live up to their potential and make a real difference in the world, because they're so stuck in gaming, because they're so stuck behind a screen, because they're so stuck in their own heads, and they're overthinking everything. And these giant gaming corporations have basically just convinced them that their life is better spent behind a screen manipulating pixels, because it's, you know, it's fun, it's stimulating. They don't have agency in any other area of life, so they're just going to do that instead. And that's the mindset that I ultimately want to destroy with this channel. It's the mindset that I want to defeat. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Comment any questions or comments that you have. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you later.